She shook her mother's body, screaming for the nurses. "Mom, please, please don't leave me." No one came. The only person who had ever truly loved her was gone. She collapsed to the floor, clutching her mother's cold hand, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. That's when the door opened. Her husband walked in, not alone. His mother followed, arms crossed like a judge, and behind her, his girlfriend, smiling. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't even glance at the body. He dropped a folder onto the deathbed and said, "Sign it, I want out." Her mother's body was still warm. His mother leaned close, voice like ice. "You were never enough for my son. Sign it and disappear." She looked down at the papers, then at her mother's face, and she remembered something. A secret her mother had whispered to her years ago, something she had never told a soul, something that would destroy them all. Before we go further, if this story already has you feeling something, subscribe right now and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Lagos at 2 am? London with your morning tea? Let me know you're not watching alone. Amara sat frozen beside her mother's hospital bed, both hands wrapped around Grace's frail fingers. The room smelled of disinfectant and quiet grief. Machines beeped in slow rhythm, counting down what little time was left. Grace's breathing had been fading for hours. Each exhale a battle she was losing. "I'm here, Mama." Amara pressed her lips to her mother's hand. "I'm not going anywhere." Grace's eyes fluttered open, her lips moved. Amara leaned in, her pregnant belly pressing gently against the bed rail. "Be brave," Grace whispered. "Especially after I'm gone, promise me." "I promise." Amara sobbed, squeezing her mother's hand. "I promise, Mama." For 3 years, she had begged her husband, Daniel, to let Grace move in with them. 3 years of quiet pleading, always met with the same calm, practiced rejection. "We don't have the space, Amara." They had 4 unused guest rooms. His mother, Margaret, had been worse. Sitting perfectly straight in her silk blouse, she had said it simply, "We are not a hospital. Your mother's problems are not our responsibility." So Amara had done what broken women do. She visited in secret. She paid Grace's bills by skipping her own meals, selling jewelry, hiding cash in the lining of an old handbag. Every visit a lie, every receipt a secret she carried alone. Daniel never asked where she went. Margaret never questioned it. They were content to let Grace die slowly in a public ward as long as their dinner parties stayed undisturbed. Now the monitor flatlined, one long, merciless tone. Amara pressed her forehead to her mother's hand. "No, no, no, no." The door opened. Daniel stood in the doorway, holding a manila folder. Behind him, Margaret moved like a shadow. Behind her, a woman named Serena, the girlfriend Amara had known about for over a year and never had the strength to confront, stepped into the room wearing a smile that didn't belong there. Daniel walked to the bed. He placed the folder beside Grace's arm. "Divorce papers," he said. "Sign now, I'm done." Amara stared at him. "My mother just died, she just—" "Sign it." Margaret's voice cut in, clean as a scalpel. "You made him miserable for years, let him go." Serena said nothing, she just watched. Amara's hand moved to her stomach. "I'm pregnant, Daniel." The room went silent. "It doesn't change anything," he said. And then Margaret said the words Amara would never forget. "That baby will be better off without you." Amara looked at the divorce papers. She looked at her mother's face, and quietly underneath the grief, something shifted. Because Grace had told her something. Years ago in a whisper, nobody else knew. 3 days after the funeral, attended by only Amara and a priest who mispronounced Grace's name, a cream envelope appeared under her apartment door. No return address, a wax seal. Inside, a letter from a man named Henry Cole, estate attorney. "Your mother left instructions. There are matters of great importance regarding her estate. Please come in." Amara almost laughed. Grace had died in a ward with peeling paint. She had no estate, but she called. And the next morning, sitting across from Henry Cole on the 14th floor of a building she had never had reason to enter, she learned the truth. Grace had been hiding it for 30 years. The modest apartment, the worn clothes, the public hospital, all of it a shield. A deliberate disguise built to protect what she had quietly, patiently built. Real estate under different names. Shares in companies bought before they went public. Businesses run from the background. A fortune assembled in total silence. Henry slid a document across the desk. Amara looked at the number. She read it twice. $7 billion. She couldn't speak. Your mother came to me when you were 7 years old, Henry said gently. She said she wanted to make sure that no matter what happened to you, no matter who you married, no matter what you lost, you would have a way back. She watched what Daniel and Margaret did to you. She saw everything, and she planned for this exact moment. Amara held the document with shaking hands, tears running silently down her face. She also purchased the hospital where she passed, Henry continued, 6 months before her death. Amara looked up. She wanted you to fix it, he said. She wanted to make sure no one else ever had to die the way she did. The will reading was 2 weeks later. Daniel arrived in a tailored suit, unhurried, certain. Margaret sat beside him, posture perfect. Serena waited near the door. Henry read the numbers aloud. Daniel's arms dropped. Margaret's face went pale. Serena's smile disappeared like smoke. That's impossible, Margaret breathed. She was a cleaner. She had nothing. She had everything, Henry said evenly. She simply chose not to show it. Daniel turned to Amara. His voice had changed completely. We can talk about this. The divorce, custody, we can renegotiate everything. Amara looked at him. No, she said quietly. You served papers while my mother's body was still warm. You don't get to renegotiate. She stood. She walked to the door. She paused. You told me I was nothing without you, she said. You were wrong about everything. She walked out. The hospital renovation took 8 months. Amara fired the entire board on her first visit. She raised nurse salaries. She rebuilt collapsed wards. She named the new children's wing after Grace. She raised her daughter in a home filled with light. Daniel filed 3 more custody motions, all denied. Margaret lost her social standing, her club memberships, her identity, not because Amara destroyed her, but because the world finally saw who she was. Serena faded into irrelevance, forgotten by everyone who had once admired her patience. And Amara, the woman they had called weak, pathetic, a burden, built something none of them could touch. One evening, she sat with her daughter asleep in her arms, and she whispered to no one in particular, I kept my promise, Mama. We're safe. We're more than safe. And she felt for the first time in years the simple, unmistakable weight of peace. Could you have walked her path? Would you have stayed calm in that room, or would you have said more? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story moved you, subscribe. You belong in this community.